You guys are all excited. We're raring to go. You know, it's been a week since we met.
It's been so long.
So anyway, great. So 6:30. Let's start with board member update. Does anybody have any updates you want to share with us? We all met. Everybody but Jerry met last week with the select board and the planning board and talked about the Littleton Station, the updates on that. So everybody's up to speed on that.
I did read though and watch it.
Riveting, wasn't it, Jerry? I mean, you couldn't put it down, right?
What? I mean, what do you mean? It's a nice
watch it.
I mean, that's
okay.
It's a nice part of your work.
Well,
so we're meeting next week just to kind of pull up everything together before we turn it back over to the planning board.
Right. So we're going to have it. Our first meeting will be March 7th, Marvin. Is that when our next meeting is?
Well, yeah, we do need to talk about meeting schedule. Station Area Committee is meeting next Tuesday, the 9th. You had a meeting scheduled for next Thursday, the 11th, as the second meeting in February.
Do we need a second meeting?
We've only had 4 of them in a row.
Yeah. Do you want to wait and see how some of the discussions go?
Maybe push it off to the 21st or something like that. Maybe the 3rd week of February.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do every week. Is that probably a little more palatable, guys?
Yeah, the 21st is that school break?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who that affects, but if it affects someone, speak up.
I've been out of school for a couple of years. I'm not going on vacation. I'm not going on spring break. Let's put it that way. Anyone else?
Well, I mean, it's my kids on spring break.
Well, are you going anywhere?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Anna, are you around if we have to have a meeting on that week?
So that's February 18th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, if we have to. All right. How about minutes? Everybody dove into the minutes. We're good for the January 7th and January 21st and January 28th, the last 3 meetings we've had. Anybody have any issues?
Do we need to make a motion to approve them?
Yeah, if nobody has any issues with them, yeah, let's get them off the books.
Well, we only have the January 7th meeting minutes.
What happened to the 21st and 28th?
I don't think they're posted.
There are too many meetings. We can't keep up with the minutes.
Well, then you should have taken them off here. You got me
Well,
confused.
January 7th is underlined, I guess.
Yep, January 7th minutes. Anna had some recommended updates. Given that we're now at the 3rd meeting beyond when that meeting was, I'll need to post some minutes as soon as possible. So if you wouldn't mind approving them with those corrections that Anna suggested.
Do you want to make a motion to approve the minutes as highlighted by Anna? Someone want to do that?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Anna?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Delisa?
Yep.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, so we got at least the 7th out of the way. Meeting schedule. So right now we're tentatively not meeting till the 7th unless we decide after the train station of next week, if we have to have another meeting before we kick off the planning board's handling of the 40R train station meetings, trying to get us to Springtown meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Boy. 40R.
For what?
So 7:05 will be there with discussion of potential zoning bylaw amendments.
Okay. Yeah, so correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
You did skip over public input. I don't see anybody
No,
with a hand raised at the moment.
I was just going to ask that. That was the last one I was going to handle. Okay. Come on, give me some credit. Nobody has their hand.
Hang on. Yes, Christine Nordhaus. So hang on, let me promote.
I have it, Maren.
Okay, thank you.
You don't have to show my picture. Hi, Christine Nordhaus, Star Hill. I just wanted to know if you wanted input and discussion of the marijuana delivery now or when you take it as the agenda item later.
Well, we'll handle it later as we get further into our agenda since it's posted.
Right. I didn't know if you wanted, if I would have the opportunity to comment at that time, so I was just checking.
Yeah, no, you'll be able to when we
Great.
get to it. We're gonna have to have something to do tonight, and that's gonna be about it, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're at 640 Paper Street, Greenfield. We've brought nothing in. We're gonna continue that.
Yeah, actually, Doug Shaw, I thought was going to be here. He sent me an email just recently, but I don't see him. That name isn't on the attendees list. Maybe if Doug is there, you could raise your hand.
I tried to go by today. I can't really figure out where it is. Stowe Place is definitely paved. I mean,
Yeah.
there was some discussion about whether it was paved or not. So at the intersection of Stowe Place and Colonial or Springfield, anyway, whatever. This is not a place.
Okay, so we don't have anyone for Greenfield?
Oh, hang on. There's Doug right now. There he is. Promote. Okay. Okay, yeah, so Doug is here.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, how are you, Doug?
Doing well. I was just coming on just to ask for a continuance till the next meeting, if possible, please.
We're meeting the 7th of March. We can put you on.
Yeah, the first Thursday of March is March 4th.
Oh, 4th.
So, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
we can reschedule it till then.
Okay, and we'll have all the information for you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Where are we at with Wellington Drive? Do we have,
Yep, Wellington Drive, I spoke with the developer, Steve Marsh, just a little while ago. I let him know that you had already discussed that you would need a bond. And what we're waiting for now is just the detailed information, cost information from the developer on the work that's remaining. As soon as he provides that, Green will review it and you can set the bond amount and vote to release the lots.
So Wellington Drive was before my time. Is that the one that's off Goldsmith?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wellington Drive comes off of Goldsmith, near 120 Goldsmith, near the horse farm.
Yeah, that was part of the deal we did with Cooper Farm.
thanks. Right. Oh, you had to remind me. Okay,
Yeah, I wanted you to hear that.
thanks, Terry. How's that lemon in that cut? Is that good? Yeah, thanks.
Good.
All right, so
I loved it.
all right, so of Wellington, you want to hold off till 7? Just make sure, in case people want to come in for the 7 o'clock, because that's about all we have tonight, folks. You know,
That's true.
right?
Right. The 30 Taylor Street, they have at 8 p.m. They've asked to continue.
Yeah.
So when we get to 8 o'clock, we'll need to vote on continuing that.
Well, do you want to take some of our 705 stuff now since it involves us? TDR, we're still plugging away at that. Maybe we'll have something for fall town meeting. The station, the 40R smart growth with design guidelines. I saw the letter from Mark, all the questions that he has. So actually, maybe we should do it. Have the committee answer all those questions first before it comes back to the planning board, since the board really hasn't seen a lot of it so far. It's mostly the layout of the sub districts and how we're gonna go about it and do other things like that. Unless anybody has any questions on the 40R smart growth district. Anyone want to weigh in with that, or you want to wait till after the committee meets one last time before it's thrown into our laps, or gently placed into our laps?
I think waiting would be good.
Okay. Now let us.
Is it any different from what we had on file last?
No, it's pretty much the same as what you saw. It's just some of the design guidelines we have to tweak and decide what we want, what the committee wants to do, and what the planning board's going to tackle when it comes to us. So it's pretty much just who's going to put the finishing touches to it, I guess, is the best way to put it. Anyone else? We good with this till then? Delisa, what about you? Are you good?
Yeah,
till
I just as soon wait.
Okay. All right, what about the senior residential development inclusionary zoning bylaw updates? Want to talk about that?
Yep, so town council will be here at 7 to talk about the adult use marijuana delivery and about the senior residential and inclusionary updates. So,
Okay, so I guess we have to wait till 7 anyway.
yep.
Oh, why don't we talk about the 7 o'clock, since maybe there's some people on. If they haven't noticed on the agenda, we're continuing the retail special permit for the Water Resource District special permit for the retail marijuana for 531 King Street. It is the intention of the applicant to, he has found another location and he's meeting with the select board to get a new HCA. He's also, I assume, applied with the Cannabis Control Commission for a change of address, and he's asked to continue it till our March 4th meeting, and hopefully by that time he'll be further enough along with an HCA and hopefully a provisional license or renewal of whatever license he already has with a different location for us to continue at a new location down off of Beaverbrook Road in the industrial park down there. So it's decided not to pursue the common, and I think it's very respectful of David. Heard the opposition from us, heard the opposition from the neighborhood, that he went out and found another location, and I think that's the best we could hope for everybody, because it was going to be a difficult situation for all of us, I think. And I applaud David for taking the initiative and finding an alternative site. My 2 cents worth. What do you guys?
I think it just shows that the process worked. That's why we do it. It's why we do what we do. So it's good.
Good. And so that will be continued until the 4th of March, excuse me, hopefully. Anyone else have anything? Anna, you got anything? Good?
No, as Jerry said, it's good to see the process is working. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to let the board know that I got an electronic version of the application for the 537 Great Road site from Mr. Giannetta today, and I'll get the hard copies, I think by the end of this week. So we do have the new application for the new site.
Oh, good. And like I said, I believe they're on the agenda. I mean, I'm not certain, but they're on the agenda for the select board for next Monday night to get a new host community agreement with them. I did speak with town council briefly about it, and I think we're taking the approach of letting him keep the process going and then let him withdraw without prejudice and put in the new location and kind of pick up where we left off, unless the board has any issues with that. That's kind of the way I wanted to proceed with it. He's already been vetted, obviously, through the Cannabis Control Commission and has been approved as an applicant. The only difference is the location now. So we'll have a chance to look at security. We'll have a chance to look at traffic, outdoor lighting, all of that stuff that we really hadn't even got into in the first location. We can take a look at that now, thankfully, on the second location. So. Everybody okay with handling it that way? If that's the way it goes, which appears that's the way it's going.
long as there's no parks or churches.
Okay, it's in the middle of, there's a river, does that count?
Well, I just hope everybody looks closely at the location and takes a a little
Hmm.
ruler maybe and draws a
Yeah.
circle and
Okay,
basic.
they've been forewarned, so, anyway. Okay, what else? Anything else?
I have a question, Martin. If you take a filing electronically, do you have to get paper copies, or is it an option not to get paper copies?
We've reduced the number of paper copies that we require down from 10 to 3. So
I mean, what would it take for you to get just to be all electronic?
it's a very good question.
Would it help you?
I think that's the direction we're headed until we get more automated with the permitting. I'm very comfortable with how we're doing it now with copies of everything
with the current
electronically.
process? You don't? Okay.
Mm,
So it's
Yeah.
not a pain point for you.
No, 10 copies was, 3 is good.
I deal with submittals with a lot of different towns, and every town is different.
Mm.
And some is now all PDF. There's one town that I deal with that still wants CD-ROMs of plans, which is amazing. So you just never know.
No, I'm just wondering if it would, if it facilitates anything.
Yeah,
I mean,
eventually
it
I'd
is
like
2021.
eventually I'd like to get there, but when it slows down, right?
Right. Cool.
All right, anything else?
Oh,
Not much.
So I have a question for all you, people who've been on for a while. I was going to the site of the Amazon warehouse and drove through Durkee Farm, and which I hadn't been into for a while, which looks pretty much done. But we had some meeting about some house being given to the Affordable Trust. Which house was that? Is that the one
That's
right
not-
at the beginning?
yeah, the one out in front.
Neat place, yeah.
Where
Right by the train.
the train is, yeah, and then that house right there. Yeah. What is it? 4 acres, Mark? Was it 1 or 2 acres?
There's about 5 acres of property
5.
there, significant amount of wetlands there as well.
Mm-hmm. But there's the house in the barn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it includes the barn structure.
yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
So, yeah, the Affordable Housing Trust needs to decide, or somebody needs to decide what to do with it, whether to build units in there, to find somebody who might want to do farming there and have a farm stand there.
Well, that's
I know.
interesting.
We had talked about taking possession of it in the spring. So
Mhm.
we need to come up with some sort of idea if we decide to put small little houses on it, how many we could get, what's feasible, where the septic would go.
But that's going to be conveyed to the municipality.
The
That
town of Littleton. Town of Littleton.
To the Affordable Housing Trust.
For Loudon Trust.
And then what's going on with the house at Cooper on Great Road? I saw a dumpster there. Is that part of the Affordable Housing Trust?
That's all.
I think we finally took possession of it. I don't know who took
Looked like there was some kind of clean out going on
The
recently.
town of Littleton finally got possession of it, got the deed to it. I could be wrong, but.
And so is anyone going to occupy it, or is it going to be developed, or?
I think it's gonna be an affordable housing unit,
Okay.
If that's what the intent was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just finally got possession of it, so.
Who owns that? Who would be facilitating where it goes?
I believe the town of Littleton got
Yeah.
it. The
The selectmen would control
selectmen
that, right?
got it, yeah. It was part of the Cooper Farm agreement, yeah.
The host community agreement?
Yeah, I think the selectmen took possession of it finally, or hopefully they did.
Ed's got his hand up.
The way it does?
Yeah.
Not allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Just unmute.
So Ed, you had some information to share on that?
Ed, are you there?
Sam was up. Maybe he got bored.
Not hearing from him.
No.
Okay. No?
No? Nobody know?
Hmm. Hold on 1 second. Ed Mullen's calling me. You can't talk to us on the Zoom meeting. You have to call me.
Now you're gonna echo. Dude, don't.
What? Can you hear me?
You're gonna feedback. You're gonna have to close your
Oh,
mouth.
his microphone doesn't work.
Okay, so,
Okay.
and actually he's two different places. Dave, he's still, oh well.
What do you mean?
So technical difficulties.
He says
I'll
the town doesn't have it yet.
Oh.
They haven't got the deed yet, I guess. So that's what he's just telling me in the phone, that the town hasn't actually taken possession of the deed yet. So we'll find out more when they actually get the deed to it, but we haven't taken possession of it officially yet. So his microphone doesn't work.
Mm.
Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. So has town council shown up yet, or?
Yep, Town Council Ethan Dively and Ivrea Freed are here. We'll promote them
Okay.
so that we're ready for the discussion at 7:05.
Okay. Great.
So Mark, just for anybody who might have tuned in just recently, do you want to quickly reiterate about the continuation of 531 King Street?
Yes, we have, David Gianetta has asked us to continue the meeting until hopefully our first week in March. He is meeting with the select board to get a new host community agreement and is looking at an alternative site off the common in the industrial park off the Beaverbrook Road. So we're just going to continue that one and hopefully move forward after he gets squared away with the select board and the Cannabis Control Commission. And the hope is or the thought is to have him refile for the first week of March. For those of you that didn't hear it earlier. So,
Mhm.
anyway, great. Anything else?
It's almost 7:00.
Do we have to do Greenwich Mean Time, or can we do Littleton Mass Time? And come to mine at 7:00.
Yeah. I think that I forgot to tell LCTV that Delisa would probably recuse herself for the 7:00 continuance, but that'll be about a minute and a half.
I put her on hold for now.
All right. What about 7:05? Can she weigh in on the 7:05?
Absolutely. She wishes to. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So,
So
Susan,
I have 7:00 now.
so can we start, or do we have to wait till 7:05?
I would recommend you open and continue to date certain and time certain.
Okay, so we're going to open, continue the 7:05, continue public hearing for the retail marijuana establishment at 531 King Street to March 4th at, you want to put them on at 7:00 again? Give them the prime spot?
That works.
That's good. Everybody's good with that?
I would recommend a motion.
Someone want to make a
So
motion?
moved.
Second,
Second. All those in favor? Anna,
yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay. All right,
Okay.
Maren, now we.
So now we need Delisa back.
Boyle's rules of adequate. Now can we have Delisa back and we can start?
Yeah, she's coming.
All right. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate your help.
Sure.
Were you in the cone of silence, Delisa? You couldn't hear any of that? Oh,
You're
she's
muted, Delisa.
muted. That's all right.
Sorry. No, I thought you guys would stop talking and then I was going to recuse myself, but I didn't want to interrupt and,
Well, you know, all got done in the wash. Whatever. Okay, so can we start it or do we want to wait till 7:05? This is a whole
It's
bunch.
not a hearing, so we're okay to start early.
Good to start anytime, great. So everybody's here for, I wanted to put it on the agenda for the potential for a marijuana establishment coming into Littleton that it has no brick and mortar, but is a mail order or delivery service. I thought where when we talked about it was that we're going to have to bring this to town meeting. And rather than have the issue that we had before, we're going to suss it out at planning board and then bring it to town meeting for the town to vote whether they want 0, whether they want 1, or whether they want as many as want to come in, so that they're going to have, I guess, all the options in front of them so that they can vote for none of them, or they can let, whoever wants to come in, go through the application process. So,
Can I ask a question on that? It's
Well-
not, but the scenario would be any purveyor would be able to have delivery. It doesn't have to be a new location. It could be an existing location, right?
no, it can't be one of the brick and mortar retails. It's going to have to be a new entity that just does delivery. So you can't go to.
And actually, Ivrea is prepared with a short
Yeah, let's
presentation.
hear
'Cause
this.
I know that.
That does not sound right. Go ahead. I want to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Mark and I
Ivrea-
have talked about it, but Ivrea
Yeah.
can bring this up to speed.
For those of you that I haven't met, I'm Ivrea Fried, Town Council's office. So I think maybe what would be helpful is if I just give like a very quick overview of the regulations that were adopted last year and became effective in January of this year. So just wanted to be clear about what we're talking about here. There's sort of 2 tracks that the Cannabis Control Commission looked at when they were considering delivery. The first is home delivery. I'm a customer sitting in my house. How can marijuana be delivered to me? And the second is, where can a delivery establishment be located? So in terms of home delivery, Littleton cannot prohibit an establishment that's properly licensed from delivering to a home in Littleton. The regulations say that licensed delivery establishments can deliver anywhere where can deliver to a community that allows retail sales. So because Littleton allows retail sales, an establishment located elsewhere, let's say in Acton, for example, that has a delivery license can deliver to a home in Littleton. While Littleton can't preclude that from occurring, you can, through a general bylaw, regulate maybe the time that those deliveries occur. But we'll put that aside for another discussion. And then the second part that the Cannabis Control Commission looked at is the siting of the actual delivery establishment. Where is the vehicle located that's going to take the marijuana and deliver it to your home? And so that is properly before the planning board. And there are 3 types of establishments that can currently deliver. And this is a evolving field. We're seeing it change really fast. So what is true today may not be true in a year, but I can tell you what the regulations currently allow. What they currently create is 2 types of delivery licensees. One is called a marijuana courier, and the other is called a delivery operator. And the way I like to think of them is a delivery courier is like your Uber. They will drive to a brick and mortar retail establishment. They'll pick up marijuana and then deliver it to your home. So they're delivering other people's products that you've ordered through likely an app.
Mhm.
And then a delivery operator is more like an Amazon. They can warehouse product and they can put their own name on that product if they so choose, and then deliver it to your home.
Mhm.
For right now, those establishments, those licenses are restricted to economic quality applicants and social equity applicants, but that's likely to change somewhere between 2 and 3 years. I think it's going to be litigated, but for right now, they are restricted. So there's a smaller pool of who can get those licenses. But there's nothing in the regulations that precludes a cultivator, for example, or a processor from also holding one of those delivery licenses. So it is possible that a cultivator could hold their cultivator license, their processing license, and their marijuana operator license.
That's how I read it. Because it's just a license,
So-
not a license. So anybody
Exactly.
who has so the two that we,
So-
if we approve two here, they could also get those licenses and deliver.
Well, provided it's allowed under your zoning
Right,
and they
right,
go
right,
through
right.
the HCA process and the Cannabis Control Commission approves it. It's not automatic, but as long as they go through the licensing scheme.
But the entity can be the same.
The entity
can hold
can-
all the licenses.
Yes, there are restrictions on the number of those licenses that they can hold statewide, but assuming that they're in compliance with all of those, they can figure out a way to make it happen. And then the last type of license, while we'll call it a license, it's technically not a license. It's called an endorsement, and it's an add-on to another license. So an establishment that's already licensed can get an endorsement to then deliver their own product. This would be sort of like calling up a restaurant and having a restaurant deliver their own product directly to you. Right now, delivery endorsements are restricted to only marijuana micro businesses. If I was a betting person, I would say in the next few years, we may see the Cannabis Control Commission expand endorsements to brick and mortar retail stores, but we're not there yet. And the commission isn't doing that, nor have they indicated their intent to. But I think that's probably where it's going, just so everyone understands kind of what we're looking at. So
Can you?
Yeah, I have a question. Based on what you just talked about with the two existing marijuana retail licenses in Littleton, it sounds like what you said is that they could be in the delivery business as well. I thought that they had to have an agreement with a courier.
So there's a couple ways they can get into the delivery business. They can work with a courier. They could get their own delivery license. So it's unclear. I mean, right now they're not in the delivery business, but if they wanted to, they could. So it's hard to predict what they would be interested in, but those two options are available to them. They could get their own delivery license, or they could work with another licensed entity to deliver their product directly to consumers.
Thanks for clarifying.
I have a
But
question.
we can also, the reason we're going to have public hearings on it is, correct me if I'm wrong, we can also restrict whether we want to have a retail delivery establishment in the town of Littleton. We can't stop them from coming in, but we can stop them from being in Littleton, correct?
Correct. So what's
I know,
before the
it's-
planning board? Oh, sorry.
Well, so I have a comment on this. So
Mhm.
this is where I think we have to be a little bit thoughtful, because and I've read the commentary when this first came out. There's a lot of news on it. There's a lot of posts on the cannabis community in Massachusetts of what the retail impact could be. I think we need to be sensitive to our proprietors that we've approved to allow them to stay competitive. I think it would be a bad signal for us to preclude them from participating in delivery, because it's going to put them at a competitive disadvantage and could undo a lot of the investment they've put into brick and mortar storefront, because it's a big investment.
Mark,
So-
do I need to recuse myself?
I don't know. I think
Lauren?
Since we're not, well,
no.
No, we're just
doesn't
discussing
seem like it.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
just,
where we're going
just
for right
making
now.
sure, all right.
So,
Sorry.
Jerry,
That's why I'm saying that.
We're
Yeah,
not
so-
there, Jerry, we're not there yet. What this is all about is the background, because we're gonna have to hold public hearings on
I
it.
know.
Eventually, the townspeople in Littleton are gonna have to make this decision. We're gonna have to draft a bylaw, one way or the other, whether we want it or we don't. And if we do want it, do we want to offer it to the retail establishments that are in Littleton first, and restrict it just to them? Or do we want to open up the town and let anybody who wants to come in?
I
That's
don't know. Well, I don't know. Can we restrict? I mean, if we have existing cannabis proprietors, why would we want to restrict? And can we even legally restrict?
So I think what the town would do is if you wanted some licenses, but you didn't want, an unlimited number, you would do something similar to what you did with retail. So you would set a cap, and then you would put out a request for, RFI or an RFP or something around those lines. We'd have to kind of talk it out, and and people could apply, and you would look at that limited pool and choose, and you could rate a connection to the community as one of your factors in that.
Right.
But from a bylaw perspective, I don't think we can preclude the issuance to someone that doesn't already have a license operating in Littleton.
So what is the tax implication? I mean, because one of the reasons why a lot of people supported this is that money would come into town. So if, say, the seller in Air is delivering to Littleton,
Mm-hmm.
are you buying it in Air, or how does that work?
Yes. So it works differently depending on what type of license we're talking about. So if it's a courier license like the Uber Eats, or it's an endorsement license, then you pay the sales tax wherever the retail establishment is located, because you're actually buying it from that brick and mortar retail. So the sales tax occurs then. In terms of the operator license, they're basically a warehouser. So typically they're not a retailer, so you wouldn't have excise tax. But the state said in this case, they are going to have to pay excise sales tax. So wherever the warehouse is located, that community will collect the 3%. So what that means, practically speaking, for Littleton is if Littleton allows delivery operator licenses in their community, they will get 3% on any sale that a delivery operator makes. If Littleton allows marijuana couriers in town, they will only collect the 3% if the courier is picking up from a retail establishment in Littleton. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes. I mean, that again, it goes back to we're incentivized to allow our.
Well, we want our two sites to flourish,
right?
For money, and if we wouldn't let them deliver, then that would be a competitive disadvantage to neighboring towns who have the sites.
I would argue that it would kill them.
Right, but
I don't know about killing them, but it would disadvantage them. Yeah.
Yes.
Significantly.
So in order to do this, we have to write a bylaw or some sort of understanding of this, because if we don't, we have no bylaw there and no guidelines. Anybody can come in and anybody can set up. Is that correct?
Correct. We would advise that no matter which direction you go, whether you seek a prohibition or whether you decide that you want to allow it and regulate it, that a bylaw outline that clearly. And just wanted to make one more thing clear is if Littleton does elect to prohibit delivery licensees, then in addition to town meeting approving the bylaw with 2/3 majority, you will have to go to the ballot, and the voters with a straight majority would have to also approve the prohibition. So it's not as easy as just a town meeting vote. You would have that extra step of going to the ballot.
So this prohibition, I mean, there's these three different ways of distributing marijuana. Can you allow two and prohibit the 3rd? Or, I mean, could we prohibit the location of retail site delivery in Littleton? Or is there some reason why we would want that? I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand what you mean
so
by
you have three
non-retail
different,
site.
you're talking about, so we're talking about being able to, okay, I see, because I'm just assuming that if we grant the ability this, we're gonna push them toward the two retail sites in town. But there's a third way where we can have a independent person or organization that will deliver from a site in town, which they would need to get approval for. But can we prohibit that but allow the other two ways?
Yeah, so the town has the ability to choose whichever licenses it wants to issue. It's just that if you decide to prohibit any specific type of license, in addition to the town meeting vote, you need the ballot approval.
Okay.
So if, for example, the town says, the warehouse option isn't in conformity with our unique posture here in Littleton, and we want to prohibit the warehouse type, you can do that while still allowing the other types of licenses. But you just need to make sure that you get the approval of the voters at the ballot.
Okay. Wow.
Anybody else have any questions before I open it up to the people waiting? Anyone else? So just before I open it up, so Anna and I and Maren were on a call, and so we kind of got the Reader's Digest version before you guys did. We asked if we could have a draft bylaw available for a Springtown meeting, and it looks like we could probably get that. Because the thought is sooner rather than later, because if we don't do anything and someone wants to come in and just open up an establishment in Littleton, we have no bylaw, then there's no protection. So that's why we're having a meeting tonight, and then we'll probably start holding public hearings as early as next month to start deciding which way, getting input from the residents, what kind of, if any, retail licenses they want to allow. So
Can I make a suggestion? Can you guys draw us a picture of what this would look like? So if you say, hey, right now we allow 2 brick and mortars, right? And then under these 3 scenarios, if we wanted parity, like 2 for 2, what would that look like? If we wanted more than 1 or more than 2 beyond that, how does that play out? Because I think we have to look at what the economics are, and we also have to look at how, like, structurally that actually works. And I think if you don't make a picture, it's going to be real hard to decide what the impact's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of draw out a graph. Like, you got 2 brick and mortars. We have 3 scenarios. If we allow these many licenses, this is what your marijuana retail picture will look like in the town of Littleton.
But the other point, I have to ask you, would the Cannabis Control Commission give a license to someone to operate a, marijuana distribution place in a town that hasn't had a chance to? I just can't see that happening.
Are you talking about the risk that someone could come in?
Yeah. I mean, would they really do that?
Yeah, Jeff, you got to read all the back and forth that went on in the news and stuff with this. I mean, the retailers who have already been established were screaming when they came out with this.
Yeah.
They're convinced it's going to kill them. So they did make these adjustments as they went through, and they finally approved this. So there's been a ton of input into this. There's been a lot of thought into this. And to Evira, is that how you say your name?
Evira.
There's been a lot of it's going to evolve very quickly, because they're going to be following economics, because the state wants to maximize their revenue. The towns want to maximize their revenue. So if, depending on what kind of decision we make, if we thought we were going to get a benefit from cannabis, in my opinion, I'd like to do the analysis to make sure we actually do protect the town's interest, to make sure that we do our approval, we're not going to lose out. Because if we say no, Acton could flood us, just for instance, and wipe out our brick and mortar, when we get none of that revenue, and Acton gets it all.
Is Acton
That's just a scenario.
Yeah. Okay.
So what it sounds like, based on what you just said, Jerry, is that there should be more discussion about what the various scenarios could look like and sort of the pros and cons of that before we even have the bylaw drafted.
Yeah, so when we go to the town, we ask for their vote and we say, listen, just so you guys understand, if you take option A, you're gonna get this. If you take option B, we expect you to get that. That's the easiest thing to, I think, to sell back to the town so the voters can understand what the impact is.
Yeah, so Marin and I can work together on that a little bit and maybe tap into some planning resources. But I mean, this industry is brand new. There are no delivery licensees that, out there other than medical, which is a very different box. And so it is a bit difficult to predict. We can tell you that the warehouse option, we're expecting to see sort of larger scale establishments going for those types of licenses, cultivators, processors going for that type of license because it allows them to sell their own product directly to retailers. It's a lot of guessing a little bit about what it's going to look like because there aren't communities that have it.
I would counter that a little bit in that we know what the delivery retail model impact has been in the United States on brick and mortar. So it's not like, we just approved Amazon.
No,
So,
in that sense, 100% agree with you. I think that delivery will have a fiscal impact on the brick and mortar retailers for sure.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, can we open it up to the public to see if, Myron, do we have any hands raised? No, now Myron's muted.
Yeah, sorry. Christine Nordhaus has her
Christine.
hand raised. Dave.
Yeah, she's allowed to talk. Go ahead, Christine.
Hi, Christine Nordhaus, Star Hill. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
I'm delighted to hear the thoughtfulness going into discussion of this bylaw. I would urge you not to drag your feet while being thorough, because as Jerry and Jeff and everyone else indicated, other cannabis retail establishments have been up and running for, over 2 years now, and the revenue lost to Littleton is extraordinary. And I urge you, when you do write this bylaw, that you be very careful not to sort of go with a template and make something that is very reflective of Littleton. Our regular marijuana bylaw is like a copy and paste of the medical bylaw, and there are issues with making this an adult use, with making that into an adult use bylaw. But just also so you know, Acton, Westford, Concord, Boxborough, Groton all have retail cannabis bans in place. So it's unlikely that if they had it's unlikely that they would have a retail delivery service. So the opportunity for Littleton to capitalize on this is extraordinary, and don't let it go by. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Myron, anyone else have their hand up?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Not bad. So Vera, you're gonna get us a rough draft, maybe something we can talk about, different tiers for March. You think we can have something, just a ballpark, and then we can back into the economics as Jerry's wants to look at it once we get the different tiers laid out, and then maybe some rough economics of what we think. And we can put it on, we might as well set a date right now, Myron. How about, want to do 7:30, 8 o'clock on the 4th?
Mr. Chair, so I'm just wondering whether or not timing is okay for that. So I wanted to ask Marin if we hold off on discussing this again and then do the bylaw. Is March 4th enough time?
Technically, it would be enough time for the public hearing. That can be as late as end of April. But in order to have a bylaw version for the town meeting warrant, I haven't seen the deadlines for that yet, but we're starting to run up against that.
That's what I was thinking.
We could probably get a warrant article together that doesn't contain the exact language of the bylaw, and that could be made in the motion. So we could put something together in time for the warrant.
I was going to suggest if you two would be able to do something for 2 weeks from tonight for the 21st. Is that the 21st? or no, the 18th. Sorry, the 18th. The dates are all running together. Perhaps then that would give us a little bit more time to consider it, and then more time for the bylaw to be for March 4th. Just a thought, if you think you can do that. I don't know what your workload looks like right now.
Yeah, we can. I can pull that together. Just to be clear, so I understand what the board is asking for. We'll do two different options: one that's a prohibition, and one that allows the uses through special permit.
But for the one that allows the uses, we want to maximize our tax revenue potential.
Okay. And then in terms of location in town, I'll work with Maren to see if we need to potentially work with an overlay district or how we'll lay that out.
That would be great. Any other questions?
There are no other hands raised.
Good. All right, we have a couple more. You wanted to weigh in a little bit on the senior residential development inclusionary bylaw. Well, are we double dipping with you right now?
Actually, Ethan is here, and he's gonna help out with that.
Great.
But we are happy to help.
Good evening, Ethan. How are you?
Well, thanks. Nice to meet you all. I don't think I've had the opportunity to meet most of you before. My name's Ethan Dibley. I'm with Town Council's office.
Right.
Yeah, if you remember, we met Ethan when he provided the town council opinion on Hager Homestead and how the inclusionary zoning bylaw interacted with the senior residential development bylaw at the time. The planning board has had several discussions already now about 3 different or 4 different concerns, I guess. One is the definition of, Mark, help me out. The
independent living?
Independent living. Ethan has offered a update to that bylaw wording that clarifies the town's intentions.
So there's you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's also the portion of being able to make sure that the language from the senior residential development bylaw doesn't conflict with the inclusionary bylaw. And then we are adding a component called senior apartment.
Right. And the senior apartment is a new concept that I've heard you discuss. This is just putting into writing so that we can get your feedback and figure out how you want to move forward with this.
Okay, who wants to tackle that one?
Well, I was looking this over, and I thought the independent living definition was fine. It was pretty comprehensive, and it's comprehensive and vague at the same time, which is probably good. So the senior apartment, I guess I'm just curious how this is within this particular bylaw, which is meant to promote affordable housing for seniors. And I think that the definition of it is consistent with that. But how does it differ from it's essentially an over 55 building, or tell me what the difference is. It's just in the context of this this move to try to promote affordable housing. You have the 20 units per acre. I'm just curious. I don't know.
Well, I think the way that I think about it, Jeff, is in the previous senior residential development, we had the opportunity for cottages, townhomes, and independent living units. And we found ourselves in the situation where realistically, if there was a development that did not have any type of services, we didn't have a place to put that. So that's where the senior apartment idea could make sense, because if somebody wants to build something but not necessarily provide any services other than sort of the typical, maybe an elevator and laundry facility, that would still be possible and be able to be affordable to seniors in that 30 to 60% AMI, which we've heard is really in need of housing.
Okay. So, okay, I understand that. So you're in the independent living units, you're covering all these other forms of, you know, these typologies of housing. Okay. And I also saw senior apartments shall incorporate universal design principles, which is great. Now, so you have some other things. You have a special permit. The total number shall be limited to a maximum of 64. Now, what's that for?
64 was just a number I grabbed out of the air. We know that there is some need for deeply affordable senior apartments in town. Concern is how do we get past that town meeting at a bylaw that allows very dense apartments.
Okay, so I see that. I just question whether that's an economic reality.
Mhm.
But your point is that maybe what we have to do to get it past town meeting with our affordability goals.
Yeah, and the Affordable Housing Trust knows that we need a minimum of, I believe, 64 deeply affordable units. So it wasn't a baseless number,
So
but
it was also based on need.
yeah. Understanding that
I just sort of question that. I just think we might want to maybe put a something like saying or otherwise at the discretion of the plan. I mean, what if we had a great project that came to us that had 80 units, but it wouldn't fit? Would this preclude that, or would we be allowed to give a waiver to that, or?
Or would the applicant go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance from that portion of the bylaw?
Okay.
Well, I like that idea, Jeff, of being able to be a little bit flexible with it. I also think I would recommend, I think I may have mentioned this before, but Chair Cindy Napoli from the Select Board, and she's also on the Affordable Housing Trust, has a presentation that I think would be very helpful for us to see, because it identifies the need for this particular market, and then also the number, I believe, as to how that was how they arrived at that particular number. So that might be helpful for us to see. It's maybe like a 10-minute presentation.
Cindy's actually forwarded that to me, and that's going to be part of our discussion for the train station, the last meeting that the train station committee is having.
Oh, great.
So
Okay.
at least have it there so that when it comes to us, it'll be part of that train following this along.
That's great. Thanks, Mark. So I think that being able to substantiate that number would be helpful, and maybe even leaving some flexibility. So that's a great point.
It is.
And then the last, another piece of wording in the proposed bylaw, we have an old definition of nursing home and life care center at Foster Street. Went through the approval process. They were required to have 10,000 square feet of lot area for every bed. Now that we have the senior residential development bylaw, I see no purpose for this wording and would recommend we take that out.
Well, but you still allowed for quite a big parcel I mean, it still allows for a pretty big parcel of, on which to locate a nursing home. I don't know. I mean, I was wondering where that was there. I didn't know, whether we had specific wording before about nursing.
It predates all of us. I think it was put in there way back when so that you could restrict actually where back in the day, we didn't want a lot of nursing homes in Littleton. So I think that's why it was restricted. And I also thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was something in the bylaw that said you had to have an apple orchard, had to have apples in it or something.
Well, or you had to have a llama pin or something.
Yeah, something. There was something that was kind of kooky just to kind of restrict how many we actually did have back 35 years ago, 40 years ago. Anyway.
The only other thing that I had as a question upon further review was in item number 1, and Ethan, maybe you can help with this, but it's confusing to me. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but it's only confusing from the standpoint of it says subject to, then notwithstanding, then shall not apply, and then shall remain fully applicable. So at the beginning and then at the end of the paragraph. So if you could explain it a little bit, that would be really appreciated. Because I know that this is from our existing bylaw, but we did change a little bit of the language.
Yep. Sure. So as I think we've talked about, and you might remember, the problem we had back in the spring was that the inclusionary housing bylaw creates a different affordability requirement and also included a provision that exempted independent living units from the required affordability. And so some of the edits to this clarify that while senior residential developments are subject to the inclusionary housing bylaw, and that's the section. And the reason that the first sentence is structured the way it is because any project that requires a special permit is subject to the inclusionary housing bylaw. So we wanted to state that clearly right off the bat. But we then wanted to clarify at the tail end of this paragraph that the 50% affordability, 50% of the unit being affordable in the senior residential developments was going to be the requirement for any special permit under this section, as opposed to the 10% under section 173-205, which is the general threshold for other projects that are subject to the inclusionary housing bylaw.
Thank you.
Does that make any sense?
It does, now that he said it that way.
All right. Anybody else? No one has a hand raised, Maren? We're good?
No hands.
No? Good. Okay. So we can continue this as well for our foreseeable future. We want to try to get this on Springtown meeting as well. Or we biting off more than we can chew, so to speak.
Mr. Chair, can we share this with the Affordable Housing Trust and the COA? I know they have a subcommittee on.
Yeah, we have another. Maren, when is our Affordable Housing Trust meeting?
Next Tuesday,
So
6 p.m., 6:30.
Maren and I will make sure that it's on the Affordable Housing Trust radar. We'll talk it over then and see what they want to do with it.
And Maren, could you also please get it over to COA for review?
Council.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Have anything else? Are we good? 4 weeks in a row and counting?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're done. There's nothing else on the agenda, Maren, right?
Yeah, actually, we have the 8 o'clock continued public hearing that we need to open and continue at 8 o'clock.
We have to do it at 8 o'clock?
Mark, you do that on your own?
Can I stay on it? And do it? Do I need everybody still on it?
Can you?
What?
Can you do that alone?
I don't think I can. I'm just being facetious.
Can we just come back at 8?
Yeah, you can adjourn until 8 and then, or, leave and then come back, that's fine.
20-minute break.
Can we do that? At least
Yeah.
a couple, at least.
Recess.
I don't have recess.
Technically, only
till-
3 people need to.
Yeah, so
I'll come
hopefully,
back at 8.
Let's do
I'll
it.
come back.
Visitors.
All right, 8 o'clock. Why don't we
8 o'clock.
recess till 8 o'clock?
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you very much.
Intersection of Stowe Place and
Mara, do we have everything all set for Wellington Drive? Do we have everything back from Green for that?
Actually,
Do your work.
Yeah,
Public,
so we're meeting next week.
the 11th as the second meeting in February.
public,
Yeah, so we're meeting next week just to kind of pull.
Jerry, I mean, you couldn't put it down, right?
What? I mean, what do you mean? It's
Talked about the Littleton Station, the it's on that.
Yes, no good. I don't know. We're
be replayed.
yeah, right.
But what about if somebody wanted to call in? I guess you really can't.
fine, right?
Yes, no good.
Everybody's here. Can we go live?
Absolutely.
We're not
I
online.
hadn't seen the warehouse building. Wow.
Mm.
That's huge.
Kirby.
A lot of people and we've got nothing going on.
Zoom, right?
You're definitely on Zoom. The Zoom meeting is
I did read though and watch it.
Riveting, wasn't it, Jerry?
Tuesday, the 9th.
9th.
You had a meeting scheduled.
Do we? I mean, I
It
don't
is.
know who that affects, but if
Yeah.
someone speak up.
That week.
So that's February 18th?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
The
good.
8th, the last 3 meetings we've had. Anybody have any issues?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do every week. Is that probably a little more palatable, guys?
That's February 18th?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, if are you around, if we have to have a meeting on that week?
So that's February 8th? So that's February 18th?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, if we have to, why don't we? All right,
Yeah.
I mean, I
it
don't
is.
know who that affects, but
Yeah. What's the address? I forget.
30 Taylor Street.
30 Taylor Street. It was 30 something now. 30 Taylor Street. We want to continue that till the 4th leave it at the same time? You want to do it?
Yeah,
Leave it at 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock PM.
Not AM. I'm not getting up for it. 8 o'clock PM. Sure. Thank you all for coming back. Notice Jerry didn't come back. He's not gonna, that's a demerit.
And who made that motion?
Jeff, Delisa made the motion. Second, Jeff?
I second.
All those in favor? Anna?
Yes.
Delisa?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So thank you all for coming back procedurally to take care of that. So,
Bye, everybody.
the merit badge.
I move to adjourn.
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
second that. All
Hey,
those in
good night.
favor?
Did you do that?
Aye.
Bye.
We're all good. See you guys I'll see you in a week,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, see you in a week.
Okay. Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. See y'all. Thank you.